as you would have them do unto you. Hey, Mr. Rich Guy.
Well, hello. You've been listening to my music, and I didn't turn up my microphone to give you the oral audio. This is James Robert Deal, and tonight is April the 22nd, 2018. The topic is smart meters. So please go to jamesrobertdeal.org/smart meters, smart-meters, and watch the carousel go by. You will see the press release that's going out on the 25th. That's Wednesday. It's going out before then, but it'll be given to the newspapers a little early. And also the demand of the city of Seattle to ban smart meters and 5G. Both of those show up on the carousel if you go to jamesrobertdeal.org/smart meters. So what's so bad about smart meters? They're not grounded. They're not sufficiently surge protected. They produce stray current. They measure electrical usage inaccurately. They only last 5 to 7 years, whereas the analog meters last 40 years. Your analog meter, solid metal, never overheats, doesn't catch fire. It's grounded. That means that if it's hit by a surge, the surge, unless it's exceedingly large, like direct lightning hit, is going to go to ground, whereas the smart meter has no connection to ground. Your analog meter has a spark gap surge protector. When wires get crossed and voltage goes from 240 to 480, the spark gap surge protector will divert that surge to ground. But when it hits a smart meter, which only has surge protection up to 300 volts, it explodes the smart meter and it catches on fire, maybe catches your house on fire, and maybe results in high amperage coming into your house and frying your wiring system, your refrigerator, your appliances, all of your equipment. Now, I've been checking the insurance policies, and some policies do not cover damage from surges. So you may have to pay extra, or you may just have to make sure that that endorsement is included. But there is a Lloyd's of London general rule that says no insurance company will sell insurance against the harms caused by microwave radiation. So you can still get protection against the surges themselves, but not against the microwave radiation. So in 10 years, 15 years from now, when a lot of people start getting brain cancer and heart cancer from smart meters, the utility company and the people who sell the smart meters are not going to have insurance coverage. Our group is called the Coalition Against Smart Meters and 5G. So I am delivering a 44-page demand to the city of Seattle, demanding that smart meters be banned and that 5G be banned. That's not such a radical notion, because the state of New Mexico recently, the Public Service Commission there, recently denied the application of the private utility companies to install smart meters, for all the reasons that I'm going to give you, saying it doesn't benefit the ratepayers, its safety hasn't been proven, the issues of those who are harmed by too much microwave radiation, the electrosensitive people, their issues have not been addressed, they've been ignored, alternatives have been ignored, the safety is not clear. So for all those reasons, New Mexico said no smart meters. And New Hampshire said the same thing. The Supreme Court there got involved, and so if a utility company wants to install a smart meter in New Hampshire, the user has to opt in. It's not the customer who has to opt out. Now, I want to offer some hope for you folks who feel like you're up against a gigantic force here, and that is that this foolishness will end because smart meters are just flatly illegal. They violate several provisions of the National Fire Code and the National Fire Safety Code, and therefore they're flatly illegal. And therefore, a utility company can't force you to accept a meter which is illegal. Furthermore, it exceeds the scope of the easement that was given by you or your predecessor however many years ago. According to Washington law, the scope of an easement is not open-ended. It's limited to the expectations, the expected scope of the easement when it was given. And the scope of the easement when it was given was that it would be a fireproof, grounded, surge-protected meter which didn't offer a hole into your privacy so that you could be spied on. That is something that exceeded the scope of the easement as originally given. So to force it on people is a trespass. And for government to commit a trespass or an assault or a battery is a violation of the Civil Rights Act. And it's also a Consumer Protection Act case. So part of the role of my organization, our nonprofit, is to explain the science and how it connects up to the law to the big law firms. We need a big law firm to take this on. I'm a solo. I'm more of a real estate broker, real estate attorney type lawyer. I work solo with the assistance of my wife. And to run a litigation, you need litigation secretaries and a couple or three lawyers who are keeping up with the case. You need a lot of research. So there will be a payoff for these law firms. So if you know an attorney who's interested in this, have him give me a call. Now I want all of you different anti-smart meter groups out there to keep track of all the time that you have spent working on this issue, because there's going to be a monstrous, gigantic class action nationwide lawsuit against all the utility companies, public and private, and against the people who sell the smart meters, against the deep pockets. So keep track of your time, and if I have anything to do with it, you'll all be compensated. So let me give you some links here. JamesRobertDeal.org smart-meters. There's a carousel there, and you'll see going by the demand to the city of Seattle, the press release itself. And if you'll study the document that's going to the city of Seattle, you'll learn a lot about this and the many ways that they're illegal and the many ways that they're harmful to health. Now, I'm encouraging all the other anti-smart meter groups to clone my press release and my demand to the city of Seattle and send it to your own local utility company. There's no copyright on any of this. So I went to law school to be an environmental attorney, and I couldn't get any jobs because the only paying jobs for environmental attorneys were working for polluters. So I got into real estate, and I enjoy doing that well enough, and I also enjoy being a broker. So let me give a commercial message here. Throughout the state of Washington, I'm available to serve as a co-broker. So if you've got a transaction that has some complexity in it and you think you might need a lawyer, then call me and we'll work out a flat fee payable at closing. If you're a broker who's never done a biz op and you got a friend who wants to sell a business, I've done lots of biz ops. I'll help you. If it's any kind of seller financing, wraparound, complexity, we'll agree on a flat fee payable at closing. Also for buyers, I'll work with you and your regular broker. Stay with your local broker because they know local values and can give you good advice about that. But I can also add a lot to it because I'm a good marketer. I've got lots of websites. So I'll help you probably get a better price and justify my fee. And people take you more seriously if there's a lawyer who's also one of your brokers. So one of the things as the coalition is doing, and which all of the smart meter groups should do, is to demand that politicians, candidates running for all positions, all the way from dog catcher to county executive to governor to senator, state and federal, what is your position on smart meters? Are you in favor of us getting irradiated? The World Health Organization says that it's a carcinogen, and several other agencies. And the effect is cumulative. You don't fall down with cancer immediately. It takes years for you to accumulate enough. So you saw what happened to John McCain, the left side of his face where he held his smartphone for so many years. He had glioma there, and it's also causing heart cancer, shawarma or something like that. But we need to have a comprehensive approach to this. We're not just against smart meters. We're against 5G. We're against Wi-Fi's always on. We're against Wi-Fi's in school. Why can't virtually everything be hardwired? In your home, why can't you plug your cell phone when you get home into a Category 6 cable or some sort of adapter so that you could talk and text and surf on your cell phone and have the cell phone on airplane mode? There's no reason why it couldn't be done. It's just conventionality. The world is loaded with conventionality. I would also direct you to jamesrobertdeal.org/door-to-door transit. This is another example of conventionality. We have mostly empty buses driving around, mostly empty most of the time here in Linwood. And even in a big city, they're mostly empty at night. And they don't pick you up where you are or take you all the way to where you're going. So what we need is, now that we have Uber and we have the ability to request a ride, door-to-door transit. For $1 a mile, we'll take you to the park and ride or the train station or all the way to your local destination, to your grocery store. Minimum fee $2, $1 a mile, ride in a 6-person van, sharing the cost 6 ways, costs 1/6 of what an Uber ride would cost, affordable, fills up the buses. But do you think the people at Sound Transit or Community Transit or Metro are even going to consider this? They've got their huge, well-paying jobs doing what they do, which is drive mostly empty buses around much of the time. Conventionality, okay? You can't count on politicians to do the right thing because they won't bring up the subject of smart meters or how to eliminate traffic congestion. They won't bring up the subject. They won't take a position on Roundup, even though we know it's carcinogenic. We know that it kills salmon. It kills a certain bacteria in the stomach, which makes it impossible for them to digest. And they die. And it does the same thing to a certain bacteria in your stomach. It makes your stomach sick. And people take all kinds of pills for it. But you know there's Roundup in most of your food. It's in your bread. It's in your pasta, unless it's organic. And we know it's a carcinogen. Well, you think Monsanto would voluntarily say, oh, we're going to get out of the Roundup business and we're going to get into hydroponic, organic, robotic weeding devices, which exist. We don't really need Roundup anymore. We have other ways to kill weeds. Just pull them out. But no, Monsanto's going to sell it until you force them to stop. How come the governor, how come the president haven't just used their executive powers to ban a known carcinogen? Well, I don't know. I'm afraid people are getting paid. I think that there's probably a lot of money going indirectly to politicians so that they'll appoint people who are industry friendly to the agencies. And the agencies are taken over by the companies that they should be regulating. I'm going to take a break for a couple minutes here. Maybe you want to go get a cup of coffee, And I do, actually. So I'm going to turn down my voice and turn up the music and play a bit of another song of mine.
Follow your truth, she would say, wherever it leads you, and do not fear the truth you may find. I hope there is a God above. I pray there is no devil. I hope there is a heaven. I pray there is no hell. Some may be deserving of punishment infernal. May they be punished no more and no less. Some may be deserving of retirement in heaven. If I am so lucky, my hope is to play the big pipe organ. To play the big pipe organ. Greenland will melt, Antarctica too. Oceans will rise, our cities will be undersea attractions. A comet will fall into Atlantic, tsunami cross Pacific, will overtop the coastal nukes. Plutonium catch fire and burn. Plutonium catch fire and burn. Once alight, those nukes will burn for 1,000 years. We will live underground, come out only in hazmat.
Well, that's fun. There's a line in that song I really like. It says, people often ask me why my verses rarely rhyme. I never claimed to be a poet. I'm only a drummer boy. You say it's unlikely, but such things have happened before. Unlikely things which have happened before will eventually happen again. Growth is a 6-letter word, like enough. Enough is another 6-letter word. Grow, grow, grow. No plans to stop growing. What can you do about smart meters? Well, right now, you can help me research the. I need talk radio shows. I need their email addresses and their phone numbers. And my email address is james@jamesdeal.com. So if you really want to do something for the cause, and you're connected with a local anti-smart meter group, then send my press release and send my demand to the City of Seattle to the talk radio show and see if you can make a connection for us. Let's politicize this issue. Start writing letters to your candidates running for city council, mayor, everything, top to bottom. Make an issue out of this. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, this is a liberty issue, and we should all be united on this. Regardless of you're red or blue, this is slowly poisoning you. That rhymes. Rarely rhyme. Whether you're red or blue, it's slowly poisoning you. So, overview. We also need to be confident that if we set our goals and we come up with a new way of dealing with finance. Campaign finance is an issue that must be dealt with so that corporations will not have as much power. And if you want to read more about it, you can go to jamesrobertdeal.org/campaign finance reform. Just go there and you look for the little search thing right in the middle under the title and search for campaign reform. Basically, we should have laws preventing any lobbyist making any financial connections between donors and elected people. So nobody who lobbies a politician should be allowed to arrange or donate to the candidate. We need alternative ways for other candidates to run for office. So after a person has assembled a certain number of signatures on a ballot, he should be equipped with some basic necessities for running a campaign. So read about campaign reform on jamesrobertdeal.org. Just watch for it on the carousel. The other thing we need to acknowledge is that once a profitable cash flow gets going, it has a mind of its own, and one of capitalism's deficiencies is its inability to rein itself in. So that's something that we're going to have to insist on, because corporations have eternal life and they have limited liability. They should not have the same rights as humans do. We come first. Smart meters are going to put meter readers out of work, but there are other things that these meter readers could be doing. You know, they could all become certified as first responders. And then there's weeds in the cracks if you stop using Roundup. Now let's talk about these opt-out provisions. Many of the groups are working to try to allow more people to opt out. But we really should demand that the smart meters be stopped, taken down, and replaced with the analog meters. And there is a device available for $129 on Amazon, and the utility companies could probably sell them for much less, which plugs into your panel and then into Category 6 cable and then right to your computer so that you can read your usage in real time and put it on automatic, and it'll report your usage to the power company. So we don't really need smart meters to report our usage to the utility company. We can do it ourselves. So we want to focus on candidates. Right now, Seattle is about 20, 30, 40% smart metered. Around 40% of the country is smart metered. And this is going on around the world. It's not just here in the United States. So scams can be pretty pervasive because they're pretty profitable. But they don't increase the profits of Seattle City Light because they'll increase the net expenses. Even though they're getting rid of 125 meter readers, they're going to have meters that catch fire and cause damage to circuits in a house. They're going to be liable for that. Then they're going to have long-term liability for people who are harmed by the radiation from them. So the meters wear out much quicker in 5 or 7 years instead of 40 years. Now, one of the things you can do is start your own lawsuit in small claims court. And if you go to jamesrobertdeal.org/smart meters and watch the carousel go by, there will be a proposed lawsuit that you can use in small claims court, along with requests for production of documents. In some states it's called a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. Here in Washington it's a request for disclosure of documents. So ask them, where's the easement that I or my predecessor gave this utility company to allow you to put an inferior meter on my house, which is not grounded, not sufficiently surge protected, and produces stray current? Well, it exceeds the scope of the easement. It is a trespass. And sue them for $5,000 if that's the jurisdictional limit. Because small claims court doesn't give specific performance, it just gives money damages. But if enough people do this, it will raise a lot of attention. And maybe the utility companies will just stop installing these spying devices. I am trying to recruit volunteers, and I'll tell you what I need. All across the United States, I need email addresses for newspapers, letters to the editor, email addresses for radio stations, and I also need email addresses for politicians and candidates. So if you want to do some research for me, this is strictly on a volunteer basis. Keep track of your time. If there's a recovery, maybe you'll get compensated. And the email address here is james@jamesdeal.com. And the phone number is 425-771-1110. I want to thank you for listening. I'm going to go out with another song. I never have liked the Our Father as sung in church. I don't particularly like the melody, the rhythm. I don't like the poetry is inconsistent, so I decided to write my own. And I feel like there was a line that was left out in translation because there are 3 versions of the Our Father. And the line that was left out follows, give us this day our daily bread, as we share with those in need. Now, that would be logical, and we know that things were left out because there are 3 versions, and they're all different. And then the book of James, written by Jesus' brother, discusses this very issue. And then there's the line about, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Well, in the book of James, Jesus' brother actually discusses this. Bad translation. He says God would never lead us into temptation. So I changed it to say, and may we not be tested, but if we are, may we survive the test. This is a ecumenical prayer. It can be done by Christians, Muslims, Hindus, and even atheists. So, hope you enjoy this.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven up above. Give us this day our daily bread, as we share with those in need. Forgive us our wrongs as we forgive others' wrongs, and may we not be tested, but if we are, may we survive the test. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
The power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
James Robert Deal, February 28th, 2017.
And today is April the 22nd, 2018. So don't give up hope, folks. Thanks for listening.